Meeting of July 2nd. Thanks for coming. Let's get started. First thing is the outdoor public fireworks. Is there anybody in opposition to it that's here? We do have one letter of concern about fire. Chiefs, do you guys have anything to say about it? Jackson, you had mentioned you're going to be 50 feet off your dock.
Yeah, and then I talked with...
Up to the podium, so we're recording.
Okay. And then I talked with Chief Lohmiller as well when he was over the other day, and if there's a breeze, we're going to go out a little further so nothing drifts in.
Just be very conscious of fire.
Yes.
Okay, guys, you got anything you want to say to it? You've got all the insurance, you got the...
Yeah, I got
filled
everything.
out, you got everything is in order here, right, Char? Yeah, everything is there.
I move we approve the application as submitted.
I second it.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
What do you have, something, or?
No,
Oh, you're voting? There's a chair, you can come up and vote. You guys have fun and be safe.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. All right, Chief Lee, you got something for the parking?
Oh, wait a second. Okay,
Folks?
Can you ask them to leave?
Folks, can you please go outside? Folks? We're holding a meeting here.
so tonight, Jesse and Stephanie Newman, who built the big place right across the way, are having a fundraiser for Heart Safe Communities. And what that is Chief Lohmiller's got a lot more information than I do. Basically, it's fundraising to put AEDs strategically throughout the city. So during the fundraiser tonight, they're going to have Hairball. Hairball, which is a rock band that does covers of old 80s rock groups. A lot of fun, a good group. They will probably be having about 250 guests, and they were planning on parking along County Road 66. I'm trying to encourage them to stay off 66, and I'd like to use City Hall parking lot and encourage the shuttle to bring people back and forth from there. I'm not going to be able to stop people from parking on County Road 66 unless we decide certain areas. So one area that I am concerned about is if people are going to walk from their house back to their car. I'd like to keep Daggett and 66 open a little bit so people can, motorists can see the pedestrians on the side of the road instead of them coming out between cars and that type of thing. So I'm a little concerned about the safety of the pedestrians. So we've got some signs from the parade that we would put up there, probably just, do a 100, 200 feet of signs that, on either side of Daggett Bay Road. Not on the east side of the road, but more on the west side of the road where they'd be coming out. So.
Did they give you a time that they're gonna be playing, or?
8:30 to 10:30. So, I mean, there was no discussion with me, honestly, prior to this. I would have encouraged a little bit earlier. It's the 4th of July weekend. I think with what they're doing, the good for the city, I think we can probably, my mentality is give them a half hour.
Yeah, the 30 minutes isn't going to really matter.
Right. Considering all the fireworks that'll be going off and how much we'll be chasing around those two this weekend. A band that goes for a half hour longer.
I guess, Eric, I would just soon see you block more of that road off for parking.
Okay?
Visibility, I mean, don't you think?
Well, my concern, I don't want to cut off the brewery. So, you know,
And this, I don't know this, at 9 o'clock at night is a brewery.
I don't know.
busy?
Well, the event starts at like 6 or 6:30. So I imagine people are going to be coming into and it's an invite-only type thing.
It's more of the twilight thing that, somebody's gonna get killed here. at one of these roads.
Well, I do have an extra officer. I'd put on a third officer tonight. And for a couple hours, they are going to be, and they're going to have 5 security people, whether they're retired or off-duty officers from other agencies. So, and I did put on a third officer tonight to assist if needed. But I told the officer that, you know, hang in the area. So,
His visibility will help more
right.
than anything.
Yep.
A car with lights flashing would be great too somewhere. I don't know that you want to do
Yeah,
that
with
though.
low lights, I think, I don't want to put on the overhead lights. And Chip's got event signs, so maybe we can do something there
Yeah,
with
I
that
would
and just bring
encourage you
attention
do
to it.
To leave the parking, give them a distance so they can see,
Yep,
that's all. I mean,
Yep.
Use your judgment, but.
I have a silly question. In real life, would people need permission to park in the administration building
it's
parking lot
a
at night?
public parking lot, so
That's what
no,
I'm
not
seeing.
really.
Yeah,
I'm just,
got it.
I just want to make sure that everyone's good with it. and-
Good idea. Just was checking on the other
Yep.
issue.
I'd rather have them parking here.
Yep,
Good idea.
I'm good with that.
So I move that
I'm
we
gonna,
let
yeah,
the
try to
parking
get-
happen in City Hall.
And I
Parking lot.
believe also we need to approve the, you're putting no parking signs up?
right. Yeah, we don't necessarily need to approve parking here,
Okay, so
but the
signs are the
signage
issues.
probably should be
I
approved.
approve. I
And
recommend.
I can do a couple hundred feet.
Make a motion, we do a couple hundred feet of signs to stop parking.
Okay, that's a motion, do we have a second?
Yes. Second.
Second, any other discussion on it?
Is there more discussion?
Yep.
I was just talking about the Bourbon Room and Moonlight, like last night, it was, the roads were packed with parking lot, with people, so it's just gonna be,
It's all weekend.
it's gonna be the whole road, all,
It's
you
gonna be
know.
till
Right, so I don't know
Tuesday.
if we put up stuff, if it'll confuse people or not.
Right, and the only reason that I want to do that for that area is just to make sure that pedestrians who are crossing the road, there is visibility for them and they're not crossing out in between cars.
Is there some way on that new sign that you could put up, a sign that says overflow parking and put an arrow this way? So you're not, you know, it's something, it's a new sign that's sitting there. I'm not saying put tax in, I'm just saying.
Or event parking or something, I don't know, what do you have, Chip, for?
I don't have anything like that. I mean,
County might have something, or,
yeah, but even if someone hand wrote something, that would help.
Well, I would
I mean, anything, whatever you can think of.
Right.
That's
to try to keep people off 66, yeah.
And I said,
And it may not make any difference, but what the heck, let's try.
Right, yeah, and like I said, anything to encourage parking over here. I can't necessarily stop them from parking on 66.
Good
but
idea.
I just want to make it safe.
Good
for
idea.
People crossing and give them a place to make it a little less congested.
I agree.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second, everybody good?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
You have a busy weekend here, don't you?
I'm off.
I should have figured that. Okay.
I'm not.
I'll be back Monday for the holiday.
Okay, next on the agenda is use of City Hall after hours for private groups. So do you guys understand what that question is?
Yes. Been through it.
So we've got a current request from some of the Pequot Lake School parents. I think part of the request to come here is they're curious, they want to see City Hall. The other part is they want to hold it, so the question is, you know, nonprofits, what restrictions, how do we want to do it? And the other part of the question is should the mayor or a council member be allowed to come into the building without staff here to have a meeting?
The only concern I have about private groups is there was a big to-do, I guess, over in Pequot with the school board recently, where there was a bunch apparently yelling and a big crowd, and they had to get extra police to come in, et cetera, as to when, and that was theoretically a non-political event, but it obviously became one. I'm just looking at the issues of security and what happens to the building or whatever with after-hours people here. I'm not worried about the mayor being here, but someone else, but I think we have to have some way to make sure we could get help if there were a problem of either the building or the people.
Well, Eric, can you help answer that? I mean, if there was something going on, you guys would just buzz through or whatever? I mean,
Without putting, yeah, I can't dedicate an officer to be here during those events. Obviously for, if there are calls or anything out there that they might have to respond to. One concern that I do have is that I understand the mayor or council might be here, but if they're not, there is ways to get around this building without having a key card. And I would have a little concern about that in people being able to move around, and they'd have access to records and other items that, and potentially the EOC downstairs. And so there's a little concern there. I don't have a problem with groups coming in. It's a great facility to have meetings. I would get a little concerned about access throughout City Hall.
there isn't a key fob downstairs when you go into the basement? So going down the stairs, the basement's locked?
There is. Mm-hmm.
Oh, there is.
There is a
Yep.
key fob there?
Yep.
So how would they get in there?
Elevator.
Elevator?
And you can't stop that because
Nope.
it's against the law.
Can you can't take a key out of the elevator and
You
shut it
can't.
down or something?
You can't shut it down. Well, you can, yeah. I can't. I don't know if that's ADA.
Been around a long time.
But the admin area you can lock other than this is just a panic door, so this goes out, but then there's a key fob, but then there's the stairs going down.
Don't you hit the stairway right there to go downstairs?
Both doors downstairs have key fobs.
Okay, okay.
That one doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Oh, thought you meant to the records room.
No, to get down into the basement.
Okay.
But once you take the elevator down,
You can walk right in there.
Yeah.
And then
you're
you
free
can
to
walk
be.
this way. Yeah.
And people will push the button.
The other concern with this is the community center rents their meeting rooms to nonprofits at a cost. So if we let a nonprofit come in here at no cost, what is that going to say to the groups that use the community center?
if we're already set up for the community center being able to have meetings like this, I don't know.
And there's already staff present at that building at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I read through here a couple of times, and I ran into 2-3 things that, I would expect to be added and discussed. But if they have access to the building, then I'm not in favor. And if we do, then we have to charge the same fees that the community center does.
Do we have any idea of why they did not try to do this at the community center or ask? Was it the cost, David?
It was the cost, she told me.
It was the cost?
Yes.
Can't they go in the outdoor pavilion there at no cost?
Over 10 people, you have to reserve it.
Do you have to pay for it or just
Correct.
reserve it?
Yep, if it's over 10 people, yep. And
How
the,
much is the cost, TJ?
for the room?
Yeah.
Room rental is $20 per hour for private groups, inside,
They have a 3-hour meeting, is $60.
correct.
And outside in the pavilion there?
I believe it's 20, just over 20 bucks, or 30 bucks. I think it's 30
For,
for the whole day. They can rent that pavilion for the whole day for 30 bucks.
It's hard for me to realize why a group couldn't pull 60 bucks together with 6 people and
I think what,
bucks each or something.
I think what we're gonna get, John, though, is that people think that this is a community building. It's a city building, and why should it be open and available to use? I mean, that's gonna be the other side of it.
And, well, there's schools in town, there's churches in town, but I think that community building, if you're having after-hour stuff, you're obviously using electricity and lights. There's a security, I don't think, yeah, we've got another place that you could go. I don't think we ought to maybe set up a same rate here for community center. I mean, what if we want to make this a public building?
You'd have to block off the kitchen. You could not allow the kitchen. You can't allow any kind of food or beverage other than water in here. And that includes coffee. There's a whole mirage of things that go beyond what's written here, I feel.
Kinda surprised Doreen isn't here. Yeah, I think you'd be getting an earful if she was.
Who?
And that's fine. My concern is security. I don't care who comes in here to have a meeting. I mean, I've been through the line 3 meeting at the community center. I mean, if we want to get political, that's the hot potato of anything. We'll do it again if need be. I would highly suggest not doing it again. But, yeah, right. But I would suggest that if we open up City Hall to community groups to be able to have meetings here, there are security concerns that I have that, you know, we can enhance security here. John and I and Shar have talked about adding a camera that goes down that way in City Hall here, because all we see is what comes through the door, and there's nothing either way. As you look down the hallways, we could add a key fob downstairs for the records room, and that would enhance things. I mean, I'm open to it. I'm not absolutely not opposed to it. I just would be a little more comfortable if we had a little bit better.
One of the things you're also going to have to do if you're opening up this building because of security issues is there's going to have to be a contract that gets developed, and they have to sign the contract, and they have to drop a credit card number in case we walk in and find damage. This thing it keeps on ticking way beyond what Eric is talking about. This is not meant to be a community center. It's meant to be a city hall. Community center's down the street. And I think we need to push them to their, on top of it, if there's an event that we have to have, if we walk in, I don't care if it's 15 minutes after their meeting starts, we run everybody out the door, and the city business takes precedence.
Well, it can't conflict, yeah. Okay, well, I disagree. I think it's a city building. I think it should be accessible, but I appreciate the concerns about it.
But it didn't get built.
But, you know, we say go to the school. Well, the school's got security issues too, and they've got, you know, I mean, they've got the same thing, so we're kicking that down the street, is what we're doing.
But we do have a community center.
I've got better security at the fire hall.
You do, than here?
Yeah. Well, just because I can limit where we don't have, it's just the the training room. That's the only place they can go.
This was not built or set up to be that.
Yeah.
And I think we need to accept that.
So Chip, can they come meet at your fire hall?
I think.
I don't have any policy in place yet.
I'll have one written up on the tape.
You don't have one that says they can't either, right?
Yeah.
But if you start using the fire hall like this, then you're gonna have to. Right down to the contract and the credit card swipe deal, the whole 9 yards. So,
Could we somehow set up policy for City Hall and Firehouse and all that, and come up with a modified comprehensive plan for Firehouse Administration Building, everything for meetings? I mean, I'm listening to David, who said we need to let the public come, I agree. We set up, drop those policy for all the buildings, maybe not community center, because you might want to do different things there.
but I think the community center is gonna end up being a spin-off to some degree of it.
Okay.
I would think,
We already have all of our policies set in place.
and they're working. Okay.
I just hate, Shar, you remember back when they didn't lock the community center, or the key was above the door? I mean,
Yeah.
so now look at where we're.
And then it burned down.
Yeah, but not to do with anything of that. That had nothing to do with it
I
burning
know,
down.
I know.
But I mean, that's just how,
You're gonna get a lot more calls from,
And I think if there are meetings, they should be held during business hours.
well, but yeah, but some people work, Shar. I mean, there's exceptions to that. Yeah, but if you had a kid in school and you wanted to go to the school board meeting and it was during business hours, you'd have to take time off.
Right, but then there's the community center, open till 8 o'clock.
Yeah. I don't know. If you guys want to work on a policy, this one is a good start. I agree with that, but there needs to be a lot more added to it.
Right, and it needs to be tailored to this building.
To this building, and probably it could be tailored easily to
It sounded like he was inviting groups to meet there. Yeah.
If we have a meeting here, what is it? Okay. If we have a meeting here, is that open then to whomever?
Well, I think what Doreen said, did she talk to you much about it?
Yes.
Nonprofits and community related, I think, isn't it?
TJ, what kind of nonprofit, community-related groups meet at your place?
I mean, the PAL Foundation, but,
The art group?
yep, the art group, we have the Lions, we have our clubs that meet in there, we have
Garden
Bunko, we have
They all
Bridge,
pay
they all pay.
a fee.
Yep.
But
They
would
all pay a fee.
WAPOA want to meet? I mean, that would fall into that.
Yes.
Our clubs don't, just because there are programs, but any, like WAPOA, the Lions, I believe they get one free rental a year, but after that, then they have to pay the fee for community groups.
I kind of like the per hour that he's doing, because it tells them to hurry up and cut the cost.
And it's different for government, state, local, it's a certain fee, then you get down to community groups, then you get down to private groups. I mean, it's all broken down into what they classify, or what they're classified as.
But I would suggest that you pick up some other cities, maybe even larger cities, because what they're doing is coming our way, whether we like it or not.
Oh, they're here.
Yeah, well, then I'm right.
They're here.
But, pick up some of that, and I don't know, and I hate to keep bringing up where I work, but we ended up with contracts they couldn't have. They came in with the Boy Scouts and the Kool-Aid, and you'd walk into the room and you couldn't put your hands on anything without just being glued to it. It was terrible. And, and that was, 15 years ago?
Right. So the question before you three today is if you want to allow this group of parents to meet here next week.
Okay, I didn't look at the time they were meeting.
7 o'clock PM on Tuesday.
So that is the imminent question. The other one is to set a policy for meetings.
Right, right.
I make a motion not to allow them to meet next week at City Hall. It gives them options for a community center, and it gives us time to get a policy. It doesn't help them, but it lets them know that they need to find another venue, and they've got a little room on that. Which could be anywhere in Hendricks area, potentially. But I think we ought to have a policy first, rather than going into this thing
It
horribly
seems
messed
they're
up.
all gonna say, why can't I?
Well, you could allow one and then put a motion that we're gonna come up with a policy after that, or you could not. So you could go either way and restrict it. But- So we have a motion on the floor.
Okay, I'll second John's motion.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Aye. Motion carries.
Do you want us to look into a policy regarding that?
I would like us to. I think it's a good idea that I hadn't thought about. And you've got firehouse, you've got here, you've got whatever. Plus, we're competing with community center and. There may be some places that we want to say no charge, but I think we ought to think about it first.
Could you make a motion, please?
Make a motion that Eric or whomever else works on staff works on developing a policy for the use of, potentially the use of City Hall and the firehouse training room for outside groups, private groups.
I'll second that.
Okay, and I would just like to add to that, somehow, it would be nice to keep the small town feel of this town, you know, it's disappearing hugely. And by not having little groups come to City Hall is another removal of our small town policy, so.
But I believe that we're not saying no, they can't. We're saying that we have to have a policy in place first. Well, but a policy in place first.
Policy, so. Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the table. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. All in favor. I just hate to see that small town thing just keep disappearing.
I don't disagree with you, Mayor, but
It's gone.
it's going away
It's
because
gone.
we're getting big town problems coming here.
It's,
Send a note to Kevin Zegman and ask Kevin to put that topic on our Safety Services Commission meeting. You know, I tend to forget about it.
Is that next week?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
okay, I'll send him a note.
Yeah. And just ask him to add that to the note, or to our discussion. Because I think that's another group that we can help, get help from tapping into.
Okay, last on the thing is approval of bills for payment. The only thing I want to mention about that is Marcia is kind of opposed to us approving this at the special council meeting. Enough said. Everybody get a chance to go through the bills? I did.
yes, I make a motion that we approve the bills for payment.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yes, second.
Any other discussion on them?
One is I think for efficiency reasons, we need to get bills paid as quickly as we can, and I think there's a real good argument for not trying to give Shar 150 checks to write in one day. Spreading it out, if we can get some bills paid early, great.
Yeah, just in Marcia's defense or representing her, not that but she said that if she has to look back to see if a bill was paid, it's a little more difficult when you're doing it at special meetings. You know, which is valid, I guess, if you're gonna do that, but. Anyway, we've got a motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I'm not allowed to just ask a question about a different topic, am I?
No,
Okay, never mind.
you can ask the question after the meeting adjourns, though.
Thank you.
Okay, looking for a motion to adjourn?
So move.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion